I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. We are back again for another installment of Rips and Rants. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined by John Romano, and we had a couple weeks off, but we are back and ready to rip it out of the ballpark,
so to speak.
So to speak.
Yeah, well, this was one of those. So, like right now, I'm for all you guys just joining us, I'm mid-sentence right now. Okay, yeah. So I've always bitched to Dave about the fact that we lose a tremendous amount of great content when we're off the air, just getting ready for the show. Like Dave's turning on the computer, he's got to reboot, or the microphone doesn't work, and blah blah blah, and we start talking, and the next thing you know, we're sucked into one of our rabbit holes of our own making, and we're talking about all this cool shit, and we're laughing, having a great time, and one of us, it'll dawn on us, and we'll say, "Dude, we should be recording this," and so. Right. I tried to nip this one in the bud. So let me go back to the prior two sentences before I pulled the plug. Basically, I was complaining about the fact that I have shop towels that are dirty that need to be washed. Okay, so I buy them, these microfiber shop towels. I buy them in a bundle, and there's, I don't know, like 20 or 15 of them in there. And it's like, I'm starting to use them. I use them to wash the car, the motorcycles, I'm working on something, waxing, polishing, mopping up oil, grease on my hands. So they get used for, I should be segregating them. This is only for waxing. This is only for buffing. This is only for nice, but right. It just doesn't work out that way. So I have these dirty shop towels, and I bring them in a little pile. Now, mind you, a lot of them I use to wash her car with. Okay, so it's not all on me. And I throw them in the pile in the laundry room, in the corner, where the dirty, where you throw the, miscellaneous dirty clothes throughout the week, because she does the laundry on the weekend, right? So miraculously,
I need to stop you for a second here. Now, do you not do the laundry because she doesn't let you do the laundry? Like, I'm not allowed to use the laundry machine?
Dave, what do you think? It's a rhetorical question.
Okay. Right? This is implicit in the whole. This is very important part.
Right, it is, because you're not allowed to. Now, I can take apart the refrigerator. That's okay. But I can't push a button.
Don't they know Italian men run they used to have the dry cleaners and stuff like that? What? They all ran that.
Well, they were Chinese, but to her, they're supposedly smarter than us. To her credit, the dashboard on this washing machine is like it's
like a NASA shuttle.
Yeah, you need like the comms headset, to plug into that to work this thing. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of buttons on there, and there's some terms I'm not familiar with also. So it makes it another layer of different. But okay, so she can have a valid point. But anyway, what happens is, in this corner in the pile where the shop towels accumulate over the week, that I throw them there, other stuff gets, a t-shirt here and there, a sock, or what, and somehow those items move from the shop towel pile in the corner into the washing machine, back into circulation.
But not the shop towels.
It's not the shop towels. So what do? I go buy more, Yeah. So then now I have
600 of them,
hundreds of them, and they're all fucking dirty. Okay, so what did I just do?
I thought that those were disposable. You're not supposed to throw those things out?
No, the microfiber ones are really good. Those aren't disposable. Are you kidding? The paper ones I use sometimes are, but not the microfiber.
Right.
And what's great about them is that when you're actually cleaning something, the fribbits don't come off the lint. You know, it gets it clean.
So why can't you do like a shop towel like load? You know.
It's what I'm attempting right now. So I was in the forbidden zone. I loaded the machine. I pushed some buttons that were hitherto not pushed prior because I know she's got this set up and it's on a fucking memory. And Saturday or Sunday, I'm going to hear, John, did you touch the washing machine? So I'm trying to sneak this load in, get it washed right now, throw it in the dryer before, critical hour. So,
see, in my house, like you can't even put like certain things you can't even wash because she thinks it will taint the load after that.
Ooh, yes,
and I don't know if that's true or not. That doesn't. I mean, isn't a washing machine is at least in my viewpoint, it's to clean the clothes, dirty clothes, right?
Well, apparently that is the intended purpose, but I think what the problem that women create about it is there's a melding of sorts in the drum. So you're going to put in dirty shop towels into a wash of dirty clothes. Right. I can understand.
I understand that.
I understand wanting to separate
the grease might come off and go into the clothing,
right?
And make them a little. But if you do a standalone load, I know that's not the proper rules of protocol in the washing machine. The washing machine rules of engagement, but I certain things are not allowed in my washing machine. I don't know.
No. I don't know why. Oh, and what about leaving shit in your pockets? You never did that, did you?
Yeah, on occasion. My kids leave stuff in the pockets all the time.
Yeah, so like I never ever carry cash. And ever. I mean,
cash washes pretty well in the washing machine, though.
Well, the rarest of rare occasions, for some reason, I'll have a $5 bill for I don't know how I got it. I took something back at Publix and they gave me a cash. So something innocuous. It's an pittance. And because I never carry cash, I don't even have a spot for it. I stick it in my pocket, and
you forget about it.
This is my wallet. Credit cards on my phone. That's what I carry with me. I have no.
Exactly. And the worst thing in the pocket is gum. You never want to wash.
Oh no! Wait, hold it. That's another chapter. Right. So let's go over money first. Okay. So. Now, of course, there's two types of money. There's the paper money and the metal money. Okay. Yeah. Now, the metal money in the washing machine is not a big deal. It's when it gets to the dryer that it's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Because then it's like you got to fish through it, and because it makes a terrible racket. But that almost never happens. What happens is the paper money. So the paper money goes through the wash. She's taking the stuff out of the dryer, and there's the $5 bill. I get interrogated. Where's this $5 bill from? Fucking remember.
I get the same thing. I'm embezzling money for the family.
I got $5, and it's like, or it's in my drawer. It's in the drawer. The next thing is, why is there cash in your drawer?
I'm going to give you a lawyer's response for your wife, who's not going to like the response, and my wife doesn't like it either. But whenever they start pulling the stuff with the washing machine and mixing stuff and not washing your shop rags, give them this. How do they wash the sheets in the hospital beds that the people crap on, piss on, bleed on? You think that they don't throw the stuff out and buy new sheets? They wash them in washing machines that will then are used to wash something else afterwards. And all the sheets are together in the washing machine with the shit and the piss and the blood. And
if the machine
somehow it all gets clean, right?
Because it is in a washing machine, right. Okay?
Which is what they're made for. They drain several times to get the crap out of there.
But my point is,
and then they're fine.
But my point is, that's the end of the road, is the washing machine.
Right, but what I'm saying is the machine is not ruined after they run, poop and piss and blood through it. It's clean. The machine is clean too. So whatever you put in there after that is fine. Yeah.
But although I'm treading in territory here. I probably shouldn't be, because I am not an expert in washing machines, obviously, and I don't want to disregard the effort my wife puts in actually doing the laundry, because that is the most tremendous, amazing, favor anybody does for me, is my laundry, because I fucking hate doing the laundry because I don't know how the goddamn machine works.
I don't mind doing laundry, but you know what? I do appreciate that my wife does the laundry. Whether she thinks I'm a moron and I can't handle it or not, I don't care, because you know what? I understand a lot about how my father functioned in life. Sometimes it's better to let people think that you're incompetent at things, so that they just do whatever they want, right?
So you get but that's not why I do it. I seriously do appreciate the fact that she does. I mean, that's a busy.
I know you, but you know what, John? I know you. I've known you for a long time before you were with anyone, and you're more than capable of doing all that stuff yourself.
My clothes were clean, right?
Yeah,
as
far as I know. What do I know? I'm just a man. I don't know anything about cleaning clothes. I cleaned my clothes for years. I lived, alone.
Yeah, no, but it is a tremendous thing to not have to worry about.
No, it's nice. I appreciate it too. But it is funny how some people have their own little quirks. And you know what? I'm convinced that the women's quirks about what it come from their parents, because there's no where else did they learn it from?
Of course. Well, it's funny. The thing that makes it funny is the fact that it's true. I mean, there's idiosyncrasies within the machination of marriages that it's husband and wife shit. And we are not alone in the washing machine. I'm sure if we had comments flowing right now, 20 guys would be saying, "Yeah, me too, my washing." So I know that's a fact, and that's why it's fun. That's the whole thing about writing comedy. Successful comedy is comedy that you have the id of the audience. You know what they're thinking. So if it's the laundry thing that the shop towels don't get washed, and man, if I tapped into the fact that there's 50,000 other guys that don't get their shop towels washed, that makes it funny.
To be honest, I'd probably throw the shop towels in the garbage because they're not that expensive. But if they are able to be cleaned, then I think the washing machine is in a single alone type of situation. I think it's fine. But I will say this: I probably can handle washing my own clothes. I've done it for a long time, but my clothes definitely smell better, and she definitely does a better job than I do.
Oh, no question.
I know where my limitations are, because
I never even used to separate shit. I just throw it all in.
I don't have I would put everything together. I don't have the patience to put in all the fabric softeners and all the pellets and beads and all the other. I just put the ones from the
blacks, from the colors, from the whites, from the. Make me fucking dizzy. I just throw it it's a washing machine, clean it. Right. So. But the shop towels, the thing about the shop towels and just buying new ones is they get better as you wash them. So, then I got a couple of them out there. They go in a special spot in the corner because they're seasoned. You don't find shop towels like that anymore. I'm telling you, they're like the best ones ever. And I'm only down to the last two. I don't even remember where I got them, the name of them, where I could get them, how many times they've been washed, how long I had them, nothing. But oh man, you got like a new part back from the chromer. You want to hold it with those.
Right.
It's like,
all right. I want to change topics for a minute.
Okay.
Howard Stern had, I guess, Arnold Schwarzenegger on the show. He was interviewing him, and the Daily Post report. I didn't see the interview. I used to love Howard Stern, and I just don't have time to listen to him anymore. But I think he's one of the best interviewers of all time. But
he went woke though.
He did get woke, and I'm glad that I haven't been listening to him since he's gotten woke. So, he interviewed Arnold. Howard Stern interviewed Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Schwarzenegger said, "I don't know if you've seen the quote."
Another disappointing quote.
No, he warns against creating a generation of wimps. I think we're all about, right? Yeah. Arnold thinks that no one wants to struggle to do anything anymore, and I guess he was asking about the drug Ozempic for weight loss. And Arnold's like, that's very typical of our generation. No one,
it is.
No one wants to work to do anything. He said the only thing missing from using Ozempic, he goes, is that there's no resistance, and that's what the resistance training is all about. You have to resist against what you don't want to get what you do want.
Right.
And he said, we live in, no one wants to do anything anymore. They don't want to suffer. They don't want to, and
That's so true. I was just having a same exact conversation the other. I've had that. I seem to have that conversation quite often. That there's a palpable paucity of individuals willing to suffer, sacrifice, dedicate, commit, and work hard. And when you say that, the knee-jerk response among those most guilty of it is, I work hard, I work really hard, and then when you actually put the shovel in their hand and point them at the ditch, the work effort is just not there. So, and it's the easy button. Everybody's looking for the easy button. Ozempic is a perfect example. That is another form of an easy button. Rather than limit my calorie intake, increase my calorie output, suffer with the hunger, suck it up, try to figure out how to get around it, make one day go to the next and be better than the last, and just stick to it, suck it up and stick to it. Rather than do that, let's take a pill, because then we won't have to do anything. And since that generation doesn't like to do anything that's not found on a tablet, a phone, or other kind of mobile device, then they're shit out of luck. So,
but you know what, John? You could still, just because you're on a tablet or an iPhone, you can still work very hard. I mean, sometimes I'm like, I can't even believe how much I've gotten done on my phone. You know what I mean? Between texting people, calling this person at the same time while, uploading stuff to social media. So you could work on your phone, but most people don't want to even do that. They want to just coast and watch videos. And I mean, I see kids, just all over the place, when we go to restaurants, stuff like that, they're looking at this thing like mesmerized by the screen, and they're watching like, YouTube shorts or TikTok, or whatever they're watching.
Yeah, they're not reading how to do something. They're not learning anything. The kids in China, they don't get any of this bullshit. They get all they get is educational stuff, and they're limited to how long they can even
And I don't know if that's good either, to that extreme, because then they lose their mind at some point in life, because they haven't had any enjoyment whatsoever.
So far, there's no evidence of it.
Well, we don't know yet. We don't know. We don't live there. So, I mean, they're living in, during, when they had to isolate there, they were locked into their homes there. So, I don't know.
I'm sure it's extreme to some level. Yeah. But for here, look, I don't see. If you look at, I mean, in the airport, on the airplane, waiting to get on the airplane, like you said, restaurants, wherever there's kids and adults too, but predominantly kids, they're all doing this, all of them. And what are they looking at? They're not, like I said, they're not learning how to do something. They're either texting nonsense to somebody else, or they're watching, whatever the latest fad social media short video clip happens to be popular today. That's what they're looking. It's absolute. And then if that's not bad enough, the entertainment that they're addicted to beyond that, in terms of reality shows and all that kind of entertainment, is all absolute garbage. So between that, and it's not reality. So between that level of garbage and the next level of garbage, these kids, they don't know what work is. They're not put outside and say, cut a cord of wood, dig a ditch, dig a hole, build a wall. They have no skills. They have no ability to do anything.
You know what the funny thing, though? I want to stop you just for a reason, because you're on a good point here. A lot of those kids worship these, YouTube channels that they watch that are produced by kids, essentially. I'm talking like, 17-year-old kids, 20-year-old kids. And these kids are making a fortune, and they think, oh, look how easy this is. These guys are making their own YouTube channel. These guys are working. Meanwhile, these kids are working their asses off to build those channels so that they can have that kind of a following. And I don't think the kids watching even understand an iota of what goes into making their own channel, because everyone says, well, I could do that too, because it's so easy, right? Anyone can make their own channel nowadays, right? But
you ask there's
not a lot of successful people doing it.
Any successful person any successful person in any vertical, in any business, is going to tell you that it was not easy. Nothing was easy. There is nobody, no one in a position of self-accrued success is going to say that it was easy. None,
Right.
zero. They were all dead tired. They had a headache. Everything hurt. They were miserable. They missed holidays, events, trips, parties. They missed all of that shit, and they worked their fucking asses off, and that's how they got successful. Whether it's a YouTube channel, a bodybuilding contest, a new lemonade stand, a hamburger joint, a restaurant, a law firm, it doesn't fucking matter. Whatever you become successful at was not easy.
But it's important to understand that you don't have to dig a ditch to make a lot of money or be successful or have people acknowledge that you've achieved something. If you want to be a YouTuber, great. If you want to be a gamer, great. But you better be the best one you can possibly be and put 100% effort into it. Sitting at home watching other people's stuff and doing nothing and talking about how you could do it is not the answer to that. Then unfortunately, 99.9% of the people who watch YouTube and all the other social media outlets are not making money. You know, they're not figuring out a way for themselves to make what they're watching on there. Because if I was a kid nowadays in this day and age, I would be like, holy mackerel, I could do my own video stuff. I could have my own channel. I would have given anything as a kid to be able to do that. I would have worked day and night on that. My parents would have had to like beg me to do my homework probably because I would have been filming stuff, the kookiest stuff of all time, which if I would watch it now, I'd probably think was the corniest, most ridiculous stuff. But that's what kids like to watch. That's what my son likes to watch. You know, that's what kids are into now. And you know what? Because I always had some sort of a work ethic, and maybe it was because I wanted validation from people, you know, about what I was doing. But it doesn't matter what was my motivating force. I tell people all the time, like, you guys are in a generation where you can do anything you want. You don't have to work for other people. You can work for yourself. But if you're going to work for yourself, you're going to have to work 10 times harder. Even though you like what you're doing, you'll be working 10 times harder than if you went to a 9-to-5 job.
You know, I hate to say it, but you know, when you're able to look at two sides of the way things turned out, you know, how things were and how things are, you know, and you get to do that when you get older, you know. And I gotta say, for what I'm seeing today as the product of the youth of America today, they are almost completely worthless. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way. I mean that in a way that is a wake-up call for people who are in charge of educating these people. So our institutions and our households, our homes are churning out pussies. They're just entitled.
That's going back to what Arnold said. That's exactly what Arnold said in this interview.
And that's what we have. So
a generation of wimps.
Okay, well, I mean, he's absolutely. I don't know in what context he's looking at it but
he said no one wants to work. No one wants.
And so what he would also agree with is my solution to this is twofold. One is bodybuilding. Okay. As opposed to soccer, baseball, football, any other sport, bodybuilding is the one pursuit. Maybe martial arts is kind of like in the same category to some degree, but not as much. Bodybuilding is all encompassing in such a way that it requires that you pay attention, follow your path, and be disciplined. And discipline is a huge, giant element of what's missing.
How do you get kids to do that? Most kids are not going to eat, are not going to eat regimented. They're not going to train like a lunatic unless they just love the iron game.
Right.
That's why I've always been against this, and I want to just throw it out there as a possibility. I mean, is it a possibility that they might have to start doing some sort of a draft? Put in the
I was getting to my second point. The first is some sort of committed athletic pursuit, bodybuilding being number one, but it doesn't have to be bodybuilding, but it does have to be a committed athletic pursuit steeped in disciplines. That's why martial arts is very, very disciplined. Right. Yeah. Okay. So discipline is what you're looking for. The other is service. None of these little motherfuckers appreciate that they live in America, and what that means and how valuable that American passport is in the eyes of the rest of the fucking world. Okay. Right. And they just take it for total granted. Right out of fucking high school, you got to go to do 2 years of military service. High school, military service, then you can go to college. And while you're in the military, you can probably work out a way to pay for your college. But you have to serve your country. And by going to boot camp and learning,
or you make them go to college with the idea that the government will cover your college, okay, as long as you have to go into the military after you get out of college. I don't have a problem with that.
Or then you go in as an officer instead of an enlisted man. I'm sure they can work it out. But what I'm saying is that the service, 2 years minimum, is mandatory. Everybody's got to do it. Okay, and then of course you're going to get the initial tidal wave of snowflakes with ankle spurs and asthma are going to try to get out, not have to go. But
well, no, John, if you did that, what you do is those people don't see wartime. You put them in offices and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Put them in factories. Whatever you got to do, you should. I think everyone, and I hate to say it because I would never have wanted to do this as a kid, but you know what? The discipline, like you said, is so necessary for this generation that I think, like I said, even if people had disabilities, there's no reason why you cannot go into the military and just in a different branch where you wouldn't be in combat,
But military, what the benefit of the military is that it is unionizing the spirit of America.
Yeah.
Okay. You are proud and protecting of your country. Okay. You appreciate that you live in America to the degree that you're willing to give at least 2 years out of your life to serve America for all that America provides for you.
Right.
I mean, well beyond your cell phone. Yeah. So there's that idea that none of these kids care. They don't give a shit. No. They don't care. They have no clue about history. You ever see those shows where they ask kids on the street, name a Supreme Court justice or what are the 3 branches of government?
Yeah. They don't know anything.
They don't know shit. They don't know anything. They know nothing. And it's terrible. That is the ultimate. We are producing the laziest, most entitled, useless people in the entire world. In the entire world, America is going to be famous for that.
Yeah.
And if you have any doubt as to what I'm talking about, a perfect example just played out in front of everybody, which was a highly educated corporate media advertising executive who tanked 150-year-old billion-dollar beer company by being a product of the system that is working today to indoctrinate and foil our children's brains. The end result is that you get that kind of action on the corporate level of some idiot who decides to go after a fucking established brand and try to change it with inclusive ideas. It's absolutely fucking nuts, but that's what you're getting. That is a perfect example, and there's hundreds and thousands of her being spit out of these institutions every single year. And this is what we're getting. And Arnold is seeing it. I'm not the only one. It's just what's happening. These kids are fucking useless.
Well, the problem is that they're not being forced, in a sense, to have to go to work or to have to do something, and they can coast. You got a generation of coasters, and the government's like, that's okay. We'll pay you money to stay home, And
the story. There's more than one.
Friends who have businesses, they can't find anyone to work.
No, they can't. And then you get stories, later in life, people who are successful in music or whatever, and they say, my mother forced me to practice the piano every day, and I'm so grateful that she did, because now I have gold albums hanging on the wall. They don't think through anything, and I think it's the combination of the generation that is their parents, who were raised by strict parents who rebelled against the strict uprising by saying, I'm not going to treat my kid this way. I'm not going to raise my kid this way. And they're going to do it their progressive way. And then that is coupled with the fact that the institutions to which these children spend the majority of their day is indoctrinating them with super far left ideology that is completely steeped in promoting their laziness, their collective, environment outlook, and all this, liberal pansy shit that they believe in, and that's what happens to them. So between the parenting, the weak parenting, the strong influence in school, which washes back to the parents because they're all turning liberal too. So you get it. Now these poor kids have no choice. They're stuck. And they don't even realize what's happening to them. They're just being brainwashed completely over to the point where they can go all the way through college and graduate school and get an advanced degree in business from a prestigious university, go out into the workforce, and in their first full act of management, completely destroy a 150-year-old company.
No, I understand. I was watching this Netflix documentary on David Beckham, the soccer player. And, a lot of people, David Beckham, who's married to the Posh Spice,
right.
he was portrayed, in the media as like this like rock star type of, character. He's a good looking guy, obviously. And, he was saying, and his parents were saying, when he was in the documentary, when he was a kid, he was very quiet. All he did was practice soccer. He didn't go out. He didn't hang out with friends. Everything was soccer to him. And which I didn't know about him. And as the document, I haven't finished the whole thing. It's like 4 parts. In the second part, it turns out that the father always wanted to. He had this obsession with Manchester United, which was the soccer, the soccer team that he played for there when he started when he was 17. That's how he was like a prodigy. This kid. The father always wanted to play for them, and he wasn't good enough, obviously, and he had to work for a living. And so when he had his son, he pushed him. I didn't realize this because they didn't talk about that in the first part. Second part, you find out the father was the one constantly on him. He filmed everything he ever did. He would, they'd win a game and he'd be yelling at him in the car because he missed a shot or something like that. Very tough on him. And
look at Tiger Woods' father.
Right. I mean, but a tyrant to the point where the mother was like, you used to have to try to say something to him and he wouldn't listen. And, but he turned into one of the best soccer players in the world, and he understands now and he respects, what he went through. I'm sure when he was as a kid, he probably didn't love it, but it made him who he is, he made him David Beckham, I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing to do, but at some point your parents have to, if your parents don't push you in the right direction, a lot of times you go in the wrong direction.
Yeah. I sure did. The problem with teenagers is that they know everything.
Yeah.
So you can't tell them anything because they know everything. So any of the wisdom of your years that could be extremely valuable to them just goes, over their head, in one ear and out the other. They don't want to hear it because they know everything. It's the most popular statement among anybody over 14 is "I know." So it's the truth.
I think it starts younger than that, John, to tell you the truth.
I'm trying to do a curve, but I'm trying to account for everybody. It's an average. But so look, there's only I have learned, and you can relegate this to weight loss, success in business, and any process that yields success, measurable success, is never, ever, ever an easy path, ever. It's just not. And as human beings, we are inherently resistant to every feeling and every emotion that is manufactured during the process of seeking success. Every single solitary feeling and emotion that comes from the pursuit of success is painful, and we're like this inside over. We don't want it to touch us. So it's very easy, human nature being what it is, it's very easy to hide from those uncomfortable feelings, that discipline, that pain, that discomfort, that sacrifice. It's so easy to hide from that. And when you have a family unit that is designed to make that okay, hiding from the inevitable okay, where's that kid got to go? And my wife just fired a law clerk. Okay, the law clerk. The thing is, the clerk had to check in with my wife every morning. That was his only requirement. He had to check in with her, and he would refuse to check in. He wouldn't do it. So she, you check in with me. She gets busy. It's not up to her. This guy doesn't check in. So finally, after a week or so of him not checking in, she calls him into his office. She calls him into her office, and he gets there, shuts the door, and she says, "You're just not going to check in with me, are you?" And he says, "Well, I'm I don't like being micromanaged, and I prefer autonomy, and I'm not." I don't like being, told what to do. I'm not really,
Bye.
The audacity. And she just confronted him like 5 more times. Are you going to check in with me in the morning?
Yeah.
And he wouldn't say yes.
So she fired him.
She just finally said, "That's it. You're done. Pack your shit and get out of here." That is the level of entitlement. That's what we're getting.
I would never have the audacity to say that to someone like a superior of mine. Even at this age, even at my age, I wouldn't have the audacity.
But that's a law clerk. That means they've gone through college.
Right.
They're a college graduate. They're in law school. Okay. They have gone from high school to gotten into a reasonably decent college that got them to pass the LSAT to get into law school.
Right.
Okay. So they are in law school. This is what our education system is churning out. That's an example. That's a person.
I don't think that's the rule. I think that's the exception, to be honest with you, because most law clerks would be like kissing ass because they would want to get a good recommendation, and they would even if they didn't agree with what the process was, they would just do it anyway. Very few people are that self-entitled.
I got news for you. That kid is not the unicorn. That kid is the norm. Okay, that kid is the norm. There are outliers. There are kids who don't think that way. There's definitely, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I get confronted with these examples all the time now. The beer example is the best one, and then they go downhill from there.
Let me give you a piece of my self-experience. I was the quintessential coaster. In other words, bare minimum.
Yep.
I worked as hard as I had to achieve what I needed to, and that was it. And I was very athletically inclined when I was in school. I was excellent at soccer. I was very aggressive. Even when any sport I played, I was pretty much like that. But in school, even things came easy. I worked. It wasn't like I didn't do my homework. I did my homework, but I did. My father used to say, "You do the bare minimum," but not because I wanted to do well, because I needed that validation. But I could have been the best, probably, if I would have applied myself. But who wants to do that, right, John?
I was the exact same way, but my reasoning was I was a C student all through high school. Mm-hmm. The last semester of senior year, I got 3 points, I think 4, 5, something, average, just to prove to my father that I could do it. But beyond that, I was a C guy the whole way through high school. Why? Because I had other shit on my mind. Right. I had my motocross bike. I was always screw driving around with that. I was
too afraid not to do well, though, and my ego wouldn't have allowed it. So I was in the A's, mostly.
But you were coasting with A's?
Yes, because I did work, but I didn't work to my full potential ever. When I look back, I say it makes me cringe. And so when I got into college and I started college, I had an epiphany, and I saw that all these people that I was better than, were passing me. We're not. In other words, now it was like they were taking it to the next level, and I wasn't. And so I then reinvested myself. I had to prove in college that I was as good. I deserved to be there, and I got all A's for the first 2 semesters. Once I got all A's, I realized that I was smart, and then I coasted a little after that. And I still got good marks, but I had a couple. Like, I got into medical school, so obviously I had good grades. But in track, I started. I was running on the college team. I dedicated myself. I never trained as hard for any sport ever. I was like a different person. It wasn't like I only went to soccer practice and that was it. If I ever would have practiced at home like David Beckham did, I would have been probably, a scholarship, soccer player. But I coasted, and so I gave 100% to running. After running, I kind of the last year of college, I switched to, I started bodybuilding. I got into medical school, and then I became consumed with bodybuilding. And once again, it was like I was a different person from when I was younger to now, like 100% in, on everything I did. And from that moment on, I've always been that way. Anything that I put my mind to, I'm 100% in on, because I don't want to leave the door open a bit. And I don't know what did it. I don't know if it was because I realized at some point that I was half-assing it, and that I was allowing people that were not as good as me to beat me, or if I just, I realized, what, it's now or never type of thing. You want to be a loser or you want to be a winner. And I pray that these generations of young kids coming up now have that epiphany moment in their life at some point, or they can meet someone who can change the way they think about things. And because I believe that the maturity level of some people, take Jay Cutler, for instance. Jay had that business mindset that I'm going to be Mr. Olympia, but you know what? I'm only 16 years old. I got to take my time. I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. And Jay was digging ditches with his father. Jay was a blue collar, type of kid, hard worker. Never gave up. Learned from other people about real estate and investments, and he's probably the best business guy in the bodybuilding world now. Probably worth the most money, and but he was very mature from a young age. I think other kids take a lot longer. Maybe because he was working from such a young age. Like when you're in the college, high school, college, and you never really go into the real world and have a job like I did, I think that kind of stalls your emotional, development in your brain a little bit. And like I said, I do believe that this generation can recover from what, they're being indoctrinated to believe. And I've always believed that everyone has their own innate intelligence where they kind of know where they need to go. I just hope people will embrace that and go 100% in the direction that they know in their heart they need to go. Because, some people are just late bloomers, and that's just the way it is.
I think there's a two-pronged issue that needs to be addressed, and I think one of the biggest mistakes parents make is they ignore or dissuade what is becoming the passion of the child. Okay, so my mother always jokes, I came out of the womb with a wrench in my hand. I mean, I was always screwdriving around with something, taking something apart, putting it back together, building something. I was doing that from a very, very, very young age. I was into the motorcycles, hot rods, drag racing, motocross.
Right.
Young, very young. I mean, I would, my mother, all my toys made noises, machine noises, and I would shift gears, and I was like, 17, 18. No, I was an infant, toddler. This was a way in the beginning.
Yeah, and that's not normal. That's not normal for like a young kid like that. Yeah.
But it was always discouraged. It was, do good in school. Really? It was not here. You spend more time in the garage. Here's another wrench.
Is that because your dad was a doctor, you think?
Probably. But this is not just limited to me. I think the focus on parents is that their children should be academic, and that their focus should be getting good grades. And that while that probably works for a lot of kids like you, that would have been great. It didn't work for me. Right. I remember, I'm left-handed. I remember constantly being shit taken out of my left hand and putting it in my right hand. Like, that's going to make me right-handed? I'm not fucking right-handed. Stop it. Quit sending me to school. I'm a fucking artist. I don't need to learn how to fucking put commas in. Somebody else will do that.
Yeah.
So you got, if I was left alone to follow my passion, I would be somewhere way far away from
Right.
where I am right now, doing
Yeah.
something that I really, really love. And that didn't happen because my passion was dissuaded. And that's why you get these kids who are now the other side of that. Not only do they dissuade the passion, but then they dissuade the passion, they replace it with something stupid and boring like fucking soccer or, you know, violin lessons or whatever it is. And then and then ballet, and that's another one popular one. Gymnastics, that's the big one. And and then they send them to these institutions that indoctrinate them with fucking weird gender shit and weird ideologies and weird other shit that makes them fucking weak, docile, you know, compliant, and just, you know, no brain, collective thinking. I mean, and that's the issue, is that they're dissuaded from their passion and they're being indoctrinated. And what are you going to get at the result? What you're going to get? The beer executive. That's what you're going to get.
And we come full circle. So the take-home message from today's show is, if you want to be successful, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to resist, as Arnold would say. You're going to have to suffer a little bit, probably, and you're going to have to come out of your comfort zone. And if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You have free choice in this world, but you'll never be super successful. I remember my biggest fear was my parents always used to tell me, you're going to be, you know, you're going to be sweeping up the store in the back of the department store if you don't get an education. You know, that was the old 1970, 1980s thing that they would make you be afraid of. Like, God forbid, you had to sweep a store, right?
Well, you're going to be a dishwasher. Okay.
Yeah, dishwasher.
But here's the thing with the dishwasher. Okay. It was assumed that if you didn't go to school and you were going to become a dishwasher, that you were going to stay a dishwasher for 35 years.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Not that you would work your way up, learn how to cook, you know, become a chef. That was never a possibility. It was do good in school or you're going to be a dishwasher. Not that the fact that the dishwasher could lead to something far more advantageous than going to school. So it's each, like you just said, each there's that innate personality that each of us possess has got to be nurtured. Yeah. You know, and it's not all the same. Everybody's different. And some people might seem quirky, you know, and weird to other people. But
I know people, John, that love to go to a 9-to-5 job. They love it because when they get home, they don't have to think about work. Nope. They don't have to be thinking about anything. They can go to the barbecues and watch their football on Sunday. They don't want any responsibility beyond what Monday through Friday dictates to them, 9 to 5. That's it. They're happy. They're happy. And a lot of these guys make a lot of money. You know, they're like plumbers or electricians, and they're very successful at what they do. But they don't want that. I see. I'm not wired like that. I would become bored of that, and it's not a money thing for me. For me, I'm so creative that I need to be my own. I like to make my own schedule. Even if I'm super crazy busy, as long as I'm the one dictating where I'm going and what I'm doing. I like that better. And so I function better like that. But, you know, that was discouraged. You know, a lot of people said, oh, you know, it's risky. That's risky, right? If you're going to do your own business or you're going to somehow, you know, have to depend on yourself. It's a lot easier to go and punch in and you get health insurance and you get, you know, a pension and you get this and that. I didn't want any part of that because it was too mundane for me. But and it wasn't a money thing. It was just I wanted to be able to do something I like. So when I found bodybuilding, and I tell this to people all the time, I thought that I had to become a pro bodybuilder and be on the Olympia stage to make a living. So I kind of was like, maybe I'm a little nuts about doing this whole bodybuilding thing because this, you know, I left medical school for this. You know, could be a little nutty. But really the goal for me was I wanted to make a living from bodybuilding in some capacity. Right. And you know, and I think that you at some point felt the same way. And so we found a niche for ourselves where we were able to make money, enough money to be happy, you know, and still do the thing that we love. Even if we had to work double the amount of hours that we might have to if we were actually at a real job, but it wasn't conventional hours. So you have to figure out for yourself what you want to do. But when you do that, and if you're going to take the approach that like a John or I took, you're going to have to be willing to work really, really hard, because most people don't make it in that type of a segment. You know, it's a lot easier to just, like I said, get a conventional job with the fire department, the police department, or, you know, a plumber, electrician, you know, one of the trades.
Any government job.
Yeah. So, you know, a teacher, you know, nurse, you know, like a lot of people in Florida work for the health system down here, you know, radiology, and they're nurses or RNs, you know, or what is the one, the assistant registered nurse? Yeah. So, I mean, physicians. So there's a lot of like healthcare thing, but you're working for someone. But a lot of people like that because, you know what, they're getting benefits and they're getting, you know, paid days off and whatever the case may be. So you have to figure out who you are and what you want to do, and then go after it. But you got to go after it with the gusto to say, you know what, there's no chance of failure. I will not fail. And I will do anything it takes to be successful. And if you do that, I really don't believe it's possible to fail. I just don't. I know it sounds like a tutti frutti, you know, Mr. Positive way of looking at things. I don't believe that as long as you don't quit, I don't think you can fail. That's just my belief.
You got to keep getting up, dusting yourself off, and getting back in the game. And that's it's not how many times you go down; it's how many times you get up. That's the theory. Okay.
People love to see people who are persistent, you know, and what they do.
And it was like I said before. You know, there's a level of suffering that you must confront yourself with, that your psyche and your body is telling you to shy away from. Don't do that. Go work for the government. It's way less stress. You know, you quit at 5 o'clock. You don't have to think about work till 9 o'clock the next morning, and much easier. And easy is attractive. People want what's easy.
Look,
that's why
I had the opportunity
to lose weight. It's easy.
I had opportunities to go out and party and drink and with my friends on the weekends. Once I started, you know, I got into the whole bodybuilding thing full force, and I just wouldn't do it because I did not want anything to derail me from whatever my obsessed goals were at that moment in time, which was to be the best bodybuilder or to be the best, I don't know, writer, or to be the best, you know, guy working for Muscle, whatever the case may be. RXMuscle. I mean, we would go out to dinner, like a brief dinner. We didn't go party, you know, once, maybe at the Olympia or something like that. But we weren't living, you know, anything. We weren't doing anything that was detracting from what the goals, the most important goals in our life were. And when you do that, people are attracted to that. You attract other people. They say, "Holy, look at this guy! Look how he's working! Look at this! Look what he's creating here! I want to be a part of that." And you know, John, we've probably given more people a start in the RXMuscle world than any other media, you know, thing. I had a lot of people working for me that are very successful now. Some not so successful, but other people that were very successful or went on to at least be able to, you know, make a really good living for themselves. And so
look at Aaron Singerman, for example.
Yeah. I mean, aside from his little, you know, jail mishap, I mean, he's still, you know, killing it, you know, with Redcon. So but that's what you attract. You attract people that want to succeed, and you know, it's contagious. And so my suggestion is, don't hang around people that have no drive or any. Hang around people that are like-minded to yourself. You know, I hung around with a lot of bodybuilders all the time once I got into bodybuilding, and those guys are all driven, even though some of them have their own, you know, hang-ups and problems, and they might, you know, a drug problem, or this one might be, you know, have a broken, you know, family, whatever the case may be. But everyone's driven because they all go to the gym every day. They all eat their 6 meals a day. They take their vitamins. And that's a good environment to put yourself in, because it makes you want to go to the gym. I got to meet so-and-so at the gym. He's going to be there tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. I'm going to be there too. And then you meet the other guy there. And before you know it, there's 4 of you working out every single day, 9:30. That's reinforcing what you really don't want to do, but that you're going to do because now you have someone else in it with you, you know.
And it fosters the discipline.
Yes.
That discipline is so important, you know, in the whole scheme of things, well beyond anything you do in the gym.
That's why training partners are really important. I don't think I would have never have gotten to where I was without some of the training partners I had over the years, pushing me, you know, because some days you're ready to go. Some days you feel like crap, you're depressed, whatever. And when you have a good training partner, they push you through those hard days, and then when they're having hard days, you push them through those days.
Yep.
And
I was lucky. I had a couple of really good training partners. Yeah, they definitely make a huge. You can't really grow. You can't really move heavy enough weights when you're in your prime physically.
Yeah.
You got to lift really, really heavy weights, and you can't do that alone. You need it's not even safe.
No, it's not.
You need help. So
when I go to the gym sometimes and I'm benching, I'm not lifting that heavy anymore, but sometimes I'm like, I think it might be time for me to start asking for spots again because sometimes I feel like I don't really push. I'll stop short of what I know I'm capable of doing because I don't have that person there anymore.
Right.
Now that I'm not in pain from when I'm working out anymore because I have my shoulder replacements, I'm like, I got to start asking for spots. I can't believe it. I'm back. I'm actually in a good place now in my lifting where I actually need spots because like you said, you cannot push yourself past that point, without having, someone there to prevent, major injuries or getting stuck.
And getting stuck. Yeah. Getting stuck and then subsequently injured. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Arnold had a really good message. Hopefully people can take what he said in that Howard Stern interview to heart and understand that it's okay to suffer. It's okay not to always be in pleasure land. And suffering is good for the soul, man. It makes you tough. It hardens you, and it allows you to be ready. It's like some people think after high school they're done, or after college they're done, or after getting their master's degree or PhD they're done. There's more to life,
They're just getting started.
Suffering a little bit and having to get through hard times is another sort of college, so to speak. And that's why we were talking about the military and stuff like that. You have to be willing to go through that. And that's why John's right. Bodybuilding is a really good training ground for training your brain and training, your body for what life is going to dish you out. Because you know what? I had a lot of things happen to me in the last couple of years. Between tearing my quad, I had my ankle fused, I had, I had open heart surgery, an aorta repaired, I had my thyroid removed. I mean, think about that. If I wasn't as disciplined as I was, that could have ruined me, and I came out as strong as ever because you know what? I can get through. My brain can work itself through these issues without being depressed, without physically, taking 10 steps backwards and never recovering from that, because I understand what it is to overcome obstacles. Now, no one wants to have to overcome medical obstacles, and sometimes in life that's what you dealt. But there's always obstacles being thrown at you, and if you could overcome them, like it's just a bump in the road and pass it and keep going, then you're going to be successful. If you can't, a lot of times these obstacles ruin people and end their life. And so I don't want to see that happen to any of you guys out there. So think about it. Probably most of the people watching the show are bodybuilders, which is great. And use that inner strength you have to, when you're dieting for a competition or when you're pushing hard in the gym, use that to overcome all your obstacles in life. It's the same process.
And adopt a more warrior mentality and less of the delicate, feelings mentality. You gotta be a warrior. What's that?
I said, stop being a victim. Everyone
yes, victimhood. Annihilate victimhood. To completely dissuade your brain from thinking like a victim. Because look, you got to think of it like this. Every day I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to get in a defensive stance, right? Because something's going to get thrown at me. There's an obstacle. There's a problem. There's a fire I got to put out. Something's going to happen. And if you're running a business, that's minute by minute. Okay. If you're just trying to be, win a bodybuilding contest, it might not be so prevalent, but it's the fact. The fact of the matter is you got to be ready to battle daily, every day. And it's not easy. It's just, there is no easy button. There's no shot of Ozempic that's going to make you lose weight. It's not going to happen.
Probably, John, the first contest diet I ever did was probably the greatest experience of my life. I was so miserable. I was so hungry, but I would not cheat because that was not in my vocabulary.
Right.
And I said after that show, I kept telling people while I was in the last couple of weeks of the diet, I'll never do this again. There's nothing that's more torturous than this. They said, you'll do it again. And sure enough, you know, after a week or two of eating, I couldn't wait to do it again, you know? And so
Yeah.
go through, everyone should go through one contest diet. And I guarantee it'll change your outlook on suffering. Nothing will be quite that bad after you go through a contest prep.
And you'll come out a better person on the other side.
I believe it. Anything I've gone through in life, every medical thing or anything that's ever happened to me has never been quite as bad as a contest diet. Matter of fact, when I went to prison for 5 months, they said, wow, that's 20 weeks. That's a contest diet. I can get over that.
You know, it's any time anybody faces me with something and they describe it as being difficult,
yeah,
I crack up. It's like, you don't know what difficult is. Trust me, you don't know. But you know what the amazing thing about the first time you get in shape, what was for me anyway. Remember, I was a fat kid growing up, so there came a point during that first contest diet where I started seeing stuff that I never saw before, and every morning it was like, get up and look in the mirror, you know, hit you know, hit a shot, you know, and that was so motivating. There wasn't, when I got to that point, there was no chance, not even remote, that I would veer off the path, that the suffering would ever get me, that the hunger pains would ever get bad enough. No fucking way. And it was that one mirror at Gold's Gym in the corner in the back that you would go to because it made your skin see through, you know. And
the lighting,
Sean made that photograph in the mirror that's with Paula Crane. But that is, I don't think there's a more powerful motivator on earth that when your brain gets in that sync, that you're improving every day, and here's a visual element.
It takes a long time to get to that point where you see that every morning. You know, every morning. Most people will not go there. They don't go that far, and they never get to that point, and they give up right before they get to that point. So, I think everyone should put themselves, even if you don't compete, guys out there, you should put yourself through a contest diet where you get striated glutes. That's your diet for striated glutes. When you get striated glutes, you've arrived. There's nothing else in life that will be harder than that. I promise you. On those wise words, we're going to wrap up today. I'm Dave Palumbo, John Romano, for another Rips and Rants. We'll see you again next week.